Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to ArcXP's July webinar about live blogging. I'm Adam Evans, and among other things, I facilitate our monthly community webinars. We're so glad to have you with us. We have a very exciting presentation today from one of our partners, Norkon. But before we jump into the meat of the presentation, just a few housekeeping items on my side. So one is we wanted to share all of the upcoming events where ArcXP will have a presence and to let you know that A, we'll be there, and B, if you are also going to be there, let us know. We'd love to meet you in person. Most soon is the IBC 2024 conference in Amsterdam, and then you can read the rest of the items there. Just a note, the very last item on this list is our ArcXP Connect event in Los Angeles. That will be probably in the fall or toward the end of the year, but we're looking forward to hosting an event on the West Coast in the US for all of our clients and partners and prospects as well. But the big news is that on October 10th, coming up in just a few months, we will have our European event, ArtConnect London. We'll be in London. We're asking you to save the date now. More details will be coming, registration details, all of that good stuff will be provided to you via email and via your account manager. But we hope to see you in London. We'd love to connect with you. It's going to be a large event, and we look forward to hosting everyone there. All right. One last very quick item from me. In this webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A function in the Zoom window. So it should just be right at the bottom. If you hover in the menu bar, you can type your question in there. You can even submit an anonymous question. We will get to all of your questions throughout the course of the presentation, or certainly at the end in the Q&A portion. Even if this webinar runs a little bit over, we will stay on to make sure that all of the questions are answered for the sake of the recording and that you get all the answers that you need. So please use that Q&A function to engage with the speakers today. All right. I think that wraps up this portion of my announcements. And with that, I'd like to introduce Christina Nguyen, who is our partner manager, to tell us a little bit about the partnership program at ArcXP and to introduce today's speakers. So Christina.
Thank you. I guess good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are here today, and then we'll be watching on recording later. As Adam said, my name is Christina, and I manage our strategic alliances and technology partnerships here at ArcXP. To give you some background, our growing partner program today comprises of solution integrator partners and technology partners, all operating on a global scale to help our customers solve for their unique challenges and succeed in the current market. So the technology partner program specifically is built with two things in mind. And the first is to meet our customers in their current tech stack. You'll probably all know we're all about operational efficiencies here at ArcXP, and ensuring that your tools work seamlessly together is very important to that mission. And the second is to introduce complementary solutions to our community of customers, solutions that are interesting, topical, and effective that help your organization achieve its goals, whether that's to drive innovation, be more efficient, drive engagement, boost revenue, or all of the above. So our technology partners are also some of the most incredible thought leaders in our space as well too. So we're very lucky to have built an amazing ecosystem around those partners. So with that, I'm very excited to help introduce one of those partners, Norkon. And with us here today are Norkon's co-founders, Chris, and head of sales, Birger. So I will pass it off to Birger to kick us off. Birger, thanks so much for joining us. Chris as well.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much for having us. We're very happy to be partners with ArcXP and very happy to do these collaborated webinars. And thank you everyone for joining. Like Christina said, I'm Birger, challenging Norwegian name for most people, quite understandable. So I run sales, and today I'm joined by Chris, as Christina said. I'll go through some slides to begin with, and then we will be showing the ArcXP integration. We'll also go through some live examples of what we do with our customers. And without further ado, I guess we can just kick it off. So I will share my screen. Hopefully that will work on the first go. Let's see here. So I will start sharing my screen here. So the crucial role of live content today is what I call this presentation. And I think we've gone through some pretty interesting weeks with that in mind. So we've seen, the attempted assassination of Trump. We've seen Biden stepping down. We've seen Kamala Harris been introduced as the nominee for the Democratic Party. We've seen, obviously, the Olympics are going on. Yesterday, we had some tragic news coming out of the UK. All of these stories need to be covered in one way, shape, or form. And we're really proud to be working with some of the top publishers globally and helping them serving their audiences with a need of information and making sure that trusted content is coming out to their users and helping them drive revenue as well. So we'll go through some of that today. And starting off, I think for every webinar, you should always start with stats. I was told by someone a long time ago. So I figured I'd follow that. And our partners over at Marfeel provided us with some stats that they saw that live report contents achieves 42% increase in RFV. For those not familiar with RFV, it means recency, frequency, and volume, which is one of the most important metrics for publishers today to keep tabs on. And that's a definite positive that we see for publishers when doing live content right. There is also a 29% increase in reader time and also 43% longer scroll length than regular articles, which I think speaks volumes to also the study that Digiday did with ArcXP over on the right, where you see short form video and short form text being highly preferred as pieces of content. There's also that structure or what's preferred by Gen Z and millennials. We see that being able to serve the younger audiences with the type of content that they prefer is part of the package when you want to do live news. Chartbeat did a study across 35 of their US publishers where they saw that live blogs generated significantly longer engaged time than normal articles. And that also is an interesting piece of information for those on this webinar. If you're not diving into live already, these stats should really be helping you making that decision. And of course, finishing that off with some revenue. So I'll get back to that a little bit later in the presentation. So coming back to the tragic event where President Trump was almost assassinated, this was, for every news outlet in the world, speed was critical. And our client, Sky News, was actually just interviewed on journalism.co.uk about how they treated that story. And speed was one of the things that they saw was absolutely critical to get the story out there. And being able to set up a live blog within 5 minutes or less is absolutely critical. And speed also impacts SEO. And getting that first push into the news, where Sky News saw more than 120,000 concurrent visits to the live blog from Google alone, speaks volumes of how important it is for them to publish as fast as they did. And being first and accurate is obviously highly important when it comes to live blogs. Also, when we look at SEO visibility and the ability to interact with your audiences, so news outlets are in a unique position, obviously, with fresh content for Google to crawl. I'm not going to dive into the details of SEO, but live is perfect for the purpose when it's done correctly. We've created an SEO guide. Of course, we will share this slide deck so you will all have access to that SEO guide after this webinar as well. But moving on a bit more to what we see with audience interaction. So being able to enable comments and questions and including experts and influencer panels when you create live blogs is an increased demand that we see. Moving from that monologue to a dialogue and being able to listen and also take in ideas from your audiences is something that we see there's an increased demand for. Another shift that I wanted to bring up as well, because live blogs is one aspect of things. So breaking news and being first with a breaking story and telling the story, right, is one aspect of live. But what we're seeing a shift in is towards that always on thematic feeds. That's the coolest wording we came up with so far. But there are some topics that have a longer shelf life that can be continually reporting on and giving some short updates, mimicking social media. And some topic examples that we see have been launched are on money, politics, elections, sports, and so on. And Sky News actually has they have their money blog that is a continuous blog on the topic of money. Obviously, after increased interest rates and increased inflation, there is a demand for content about money and how people can either save or make better decisions with their money. So on that topic, let's see here. So I took this as a thematic feed from one of our clients where obviously you can report on a story or a game as it happens, but also if you're a local news provider, you can keep that feed going or a separate feed going on the local team, whether that's football, whether it's hockey, whether it's baseball, whatever the sport is. Having that thematic feed that people can always come back to and read the latest about their team is something that obviously creates habits among your users. And you can create several types of content with that, right? So you can keep a Q&A going, you can keep polls or whatever it may be going to create some more engagement around these thematic live feeds. One aspect that we wanted to highlight, both in general, but also specifically for this webinar, is streamlined efficiency. So having efficiency as one of the key tenets of Live Center, and I'll get more back to that when I talk about one of our customers. But being able to efficiently work together, so multiple people, or getting a live blog up and running using ArcXP, we've created an integration that makes it super easy for ArcXP clients to launch live blogs using Live Center, and Chris will be showcasing that. But we also see that there's a need for more tools inside of Live Center as well. So Live Center is actually the only ecosystem-led live tool out there that really leverages other ecosystem partners for the different challenges that you see. So there might be, to access endless live content, we have integrations towards news agencies or weather providers. We see that there might be a need for push notifications inside Live Center. For that purpose, we partner with Pushly. And of course, we see that there's a need, and for every potential client that we talk to, there's always that a revenue aspect of things. And for that purpose, we partner with Pool, with Zuora, and several other ad tech companies to make sure that it's easy for publishers to monetize the live blogs as well. And on that topic, these are really the three main revenue generators that we tend to talk about. So obviously ad revenue, being able to inject ads where it makes sense to do so. There might be topics that you don't want to monetize, and it's easy to leave those out when that's necessary, or maximize the revenue when that's convenient. Generating subscriptions. We've seen tons of examples where where customers have their live blog in front of the paywall, but leading to other articles behind the paywall, and using live as one of the tools to drive people further down the funnel. It might be that you're doing a topic on a sports game, but for a further analysis of the game or the coach or whatever it may be, you can link to an article inside the live feed to an article behind the paywall to drive that conversion. Affiliate marketing and sponsorships. There's examples of customers doing this where it's legal to do betting, for example. That might not be the case for everyone on this webinar, but for those where it's relevant, driving conversions to betting companies is something that we've seen with a few of our clients as well. So a few customer examples here. Le Presse is one of those clients where they came to us, and having a monologue only was not really what they wanted. They wanted also to be able to engage and have a conversation with their readers. So part of the onboarding process there was to make sure that they had a tool where it was easy for them to talk with their users and really engage with them. And I think we've really hit the mark with them, and we're very happy that we were able to achieve together with them what they initially wanted with Live Center. Also, there's always that metric of page views, and to a certain aspect, I would always say that increased page views is usually a positive thing. Berlinski in Denmark started working with us, and one of the aspects that they wanted was to create more content that was relevant to their audiences, and immediately saw a 20 to 30% increase in overall traffic. What I also think is really interesting here that we keep talking about with potential clients is the revenue per page, and being able to drive a higher revenue per page and overall digital engagement is one or two really important metrics to help out with for publishers. And the last one, of course, is an example from Norway where we have betting is allowed, but only when it's done by the government. So in Norway, we have a company called Rikstoto, which is owned by the Norwegian government. As you can perhaps derive here, it's a horse betting company. And they're using Live Center to drive both engagement and questions, but also drive revenue using Live as one of the tools to place bets. And that's one of the customers where it's a combination of many things, but being able to personalize the feed also by clicking on the tags in the live feed has really helped with driving engagement and increased revenue per customer. So I'm going to be showing a few examples before I leave it over to Chris. But this is really sort of the wrap-up slide for us where we try to be a company, or our vision is to be a company where we are the global standard in media to attract, engage, and retain readers. And we're very happy that we're now integrated with ArcXP. So before I kick it to you, Chris, I'm just going to go through a few examples from live customers. So we have, as I talked about earlier, we have the money blog from Sky. This is a topical feed, like I talked about, where they interact with their readers about personal finance and consumer news and tips. And as you can see up here, there's a question or make a comment box where you can leave your questions to the journalist. This will then be stored in Live Center, where the journalist can answer or choose to not answer it, depending on what comes in, or take that content and use it as an idea for a new post on something that might be relevant for more than just the person who sent in this particular question. We have the Ukraine-Russia war, where there's a similar logic to things where you can ask questions or make a comment. Obviously, this is one of the aspects where moderation is important. allowing Sky to moderate every question and comment that comes in before it goes out on the website. This live blog has been running since the war broke out, and has been really important for them to make sure that they are able to provide their readers with the latest content about the war and how it potentially impacts other areas in the world as well. Over to a completely different topic is the Paris Olympics. This is our customer in Australia, ABC News, where they have a feed set up where they have their key events on the left-hand side, and they have the live feed here on the right-hand side. There are two things I wanted to highlight here. One, you have to log into comments, so they can use this as a conversion point for their live blog. There's another aspect where they have this react button that obviously drives engagement. And I think this is, these are two cool aspects of their live blogs that they're using actively in their strategy to engage and convert more readers. For those of you who are interested in soccer or football, Nettavisen in Norway, they have a transfer rumor live blog that they've been running for years. And all the way at the top here, you can see that it says Chelsea. So I've set the live blog to be personalized for me if I was a Chelsea fan. And the way I've done that is that there are automatic tags that are added to the live post. And these surface down here. So if the article is about, or the post is about Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, these two teams will automatically then be tagged in the post. If I want to change my feed now to Atletico Madrid, the feed now will only contain stories that are about Atletico Madrid. And as you can see here, obviously there's a player that is linked to more than one club, and I can now hit Barcelona, and I can now read only about Barcelona news. Last thing here also, they have a login button, or sorry, a comment section up here. However, I have to be registered with a free AID and log in if I want to leave my name and comment at this live feed. And lastly, live weather updates. This is a shared client between ArcXP and Norkon and ZME in New Zealand, which is they are using Live Center quite a lot for weather live updates, live blogs, if you want to call it that. So with that, I'm going to leave it to you, Chris, and take it away from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Birger. As you mentioned, speed is really key when it comes to creating live content and ease of use. So I'll take just a few minutes to show you how simple the power up inside Arc is to use that connects Arc to Live Center. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll take it from there. So this view, most of you are familiar with. This is inside the composer. This is a test environment that we use. It might look slightly different from your own configuration, but mainly it will look familiar. I've created a story here, my live coverage. So empty, it looks like this. Let's say I would like to make this a live feed or a live blog. With our power up, it's as simple as going here, and then I select Live Center. This will then open up our power up where you can either create a brand new live blog, or you can select from pre-existing live blogs that you've already created. So let's say I want to create a brand new live blog, something timely has happened that I'd like to cover. So I'll give it a name, my new Tuesday live blog. I'll hit create. This then adds Live Center as a visual representation here inside the composer. And then, of course, this is brand new. It's empty. I need to create some content in this live blog. I hit go to Live Center. It opens up a new tab where I'm directly sent into the editor, Live Center's editor for the live blog. So we have our own specialized composer, if you will, that's really streamlined, simple to use to fit the live content format. So if you create a post here, welcome to today's coverage. We will then ABC, something like this. Publish. I've now published one post in the live blog. Of course, I can publish more posts, but just to show you what this looks like, I now go back to the composer, hit save, and now I want to preview and see what would this look like live for my readers on my website. See, and there it is. So of course, this circulation with this styling, it's very different from what it would look like for you. But as I showed you, it took me maybe a minute to get this set up, and from here on, you know, as I keep publishing, it will be publishing new posts in real time. So I hit publish like this, and it goes straight out. So there's no delay, and it's very easy to use. So this is the use case if you're creating a brand new live feed. Let's say you have an existing live blog that you created, or you have a live blog that's live somewhere else, but you like to reuse it in another story on another circulation, other brand of yours. So I can then go to edit. As I said before, I can either create a brand new one, or I can select from a list of existing ones. So here I'll select sports demo. I'll hit save. Let's close this down. And then again, go to preview. Just need to clear the cache. And voila. See, now I changed out the live blog that I've just created with one that was already created with different types of content from before. So, you know, really simple, really easy to use. The adoption to have a easy to use UX is really important to adoption, and also to make it a tool that's used by journalists. They shouldn't have a lot of friction. So yeah, if you're interested in doing more of a deep dive into the Power Up, how it works inside Arc, or would like to see, hey, what are the bells and whistles inside Live Center and our CMS, be happy to show that when you reach out. So yeah, I'll hand it back to you, Birger.
Thank you, Chris. So wrapping up, before I hand it back to you, Christina, I just wanted to share this slide. So live has never been more important. We talked about that and try to cover why it's important. There are some significant stats telling us that live will help you with specific things like recency, frequency, volume. Live drives SEO. It's really important to be fast. It's really important to make sure that, you know, that the content is tagged right, that we have made sure that the content is rendered well. And we, like I said, we have a SEO guide for publishers that we published, and we're more than happy to share that after this webinar. Live increases revenue. There are really, you know, it's easy to set up advertising inside Live Center. It's more of a strategy to drive subscriptions. However, we have people internally who have experience from doing so, and we'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you on how Live can help drive subscriptions. And lastly, if you want to get in touch with us, our partnerships manager, Yakir, is on the call and is more than happy to take any conversations with you if you wanted to know more about Norkon and the Arc XP integration. So with that, I'll kick it back to you, Christina and/or Adam.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who spoke. So Birger, Chris, Yakir, please come on back to the stage. And we have a few questions coming in that we'll just get to in order. And some have also been sent to me directly. So we'll kind of, you know, bounce around here a little bit. So the first one is the composer article page rendered in Arc, or is it hosted on a different CMS or servers run by Norkon?
Yes, maybe I'll take that one. The composer article page is rendered in Arc. So it's hosted there, and yeah, everything is as you're used to inside the composer, just with the addition of the small element that represents, in the composer, that it's there as a part of your as a part of the editor. And then of course on the front end, what your readers see, there's some code that we run that renders that for your readers.
Got it. Okay, great. And then sort of another technical question is, when using Norkon's live blogging tool, does Arc support the structured data for Google's live blog schema?
Yes. Yeah, the answer there is yes. It populates the schema, and there's yeah, depending on where your ambition is, on the spectrum of everything from an iframe to server-side render, we can, of course, as part of that, populate the schema.
Perfect. All right. How is working the comment section for users and the community management? How can we enable it just for logged in users? And I think Birger, you showed an example of that.
Yeah, it's a great question. We didn't really dig into the details of commenting a question because it is quite configurable, but the very easiest, it's you can very quickly get comments and questions that you reply to or publish out with just one click. But there's a lot of multi-stage sort of moderation where you can connect your user management system so that you can authenticate your users or have a sort of a conversion so that they have to be signed in. So you can do it that way, and then inside we can also actually connect it to, if you have your own commenting solution like ABC, the example that Peter showed, you don't have to use Live Center's commenting or Q&A, even though it is great. If you have your preferred one, we can integrate it on a post level as well, so that you don't have to have yet another commenting solution. But if you use ours as well, there's profanity filters, there's moderation, there's auto anti-spam, and so on. So it is quite scalable there. We have customers that have received 1,000+ comments, so that requires multiple users to moderate and answer and so on. So great question.
Great. All right. And then is there a way to display some of the live blog content on other pages so that you're able to display a timeline or live updates on your homepage?
Yeah, again, really great question. And I like the way you're thinking here in terms of reusing this content. So we have several customers that use the Live Center to both have, as you said, live blog, but then they pull out key posts or visually recreate the same live blog as a timeline somewhere else. So there's different ways to do that. I think having a sort of a carousel that sits on top is a great way on your homepage to show that something is always live. You can also actually pull out only post marked as very important or of high importance and use that somewhere else. So there's many ways to do that, and we have different customers that have success in doing that. Sky News is another one that does that quite frequently, where they pull out a timeline of only key posts and put it on the front page. So it's a great way to, I think, get the visibility of your live blog up and getting a higher ROI on the content that your journalists have created.
Great. And then there's a few questions that were sent to me directly, and several of them are around mobile. And so this person asks, have any of your clients developed a live blog only mobile app, or do they typically have the live blog a part of their site app?
Yes, we have a few customers that have used Live Center only on their app. So we do have support for you to render that in a native app, or if you want to do web wrapper of the live feed, that's possible as well. I should add that Live Center's editor, which I showed, where you create content, you put together posts, it renders really well on mobile as well, because very often you're out in the field, maybe at Olympics, like Beer showed, to cover things live at that location. So it renders quite well, both from the editor's point of view, but it can also be integrated into a native app. We have a few customers that have done that.
And a question around notifications as well. Can users subscribe to notifications as part of the live blogging?
Yes, so we have taken the choice not to have our own notification solution, because most publishers have their own tool from before, but instead we facilitate that notification solution to get posts from Live Center that you would like to push. So there's different ways to do that, either with a WebSocket or a webhook, to get into the technical details. We also on the roadmap have an item to have our own native push solution, but the approach that's usually taken is to integrate Live Center with the notification solution that's already used, and there's documentation for that as well.
All right, and then we had a few other questions pop in here, so I'm jumping back to the Q&A function. We had an issue where embedded elements over power-ups are not searchable in search engines. Is SEO ensured?
Yeah, so SEO is, I mean, it's you're always at the mercy of Google and what they decide to pick up and how often they come back and crawl and how they rank you. So there's that's why I mentioned before that there's this spectrum, right? Google says that they will index things in an iframe, but studies have shown that that's not always the case. And same with JavaScript rendered content, where your reader's device has to render content for it to be shown. And Google says, yes, we'll index that, but again, it's not optimal. So there's a spectrum, right, of visibility. How Live Center is rendered today through Arc is through our JavaScript, which is it is optimized as far as you get with a JavaScript file. So it is it is SEO optimized from that perspective. But you can also take the extra step of serving HTML content, the actual text from your servers. We have some customers that do that, where what the readers see is JavaScript render, but what the search engines pick up comes from your server. So we can ensure that as well. It depends on where you are in sort of your journey and how important it is. But it is a good question.
Yeah, and then speaking of search, another good question that didn't occur to me, but is I think very timely, is the live blog content searchable within Composer? So you're creating content, you're searching through your articles. Is the live blogging content a part of that search?
I don't know. As of today, it's not. There is search inside Live Center, but through the Composer, you can't search individual posts. But it's a really good input. It's something for us. We are looking at sort of version 2.0 of the Composer of the Power Up. So this is actually really good input for that.
Feature request added to the
exactly. I love it.
That's the list. Very good. All right. And then another sort of search related question is, does Queerly search integration work for user-facing search with live blog content?
I'm not familiar with Queerly, so no. I'd have to look into it. Yeah.
Yeah, Christina, can you maybe speak to Queerly just for a second?
Yeah, so Queerly is another technology partner of ARC's, and they're pretty deeply embedded within ARC. So could be something else also to consider for 2.0 is that a number of our customers do have Queerly as their backend search function in ARC.
Yeah, that's a good point. And part of Live Center's sort of building blocks is that it's easy to integrate into and with. So we'll love to have a look at that use case.
Yeah, and then here is a pricing question. So prices for ARC customers, are they the same as for non-ARC customers, and how do you differentiate fees? I don't know how deeply you want to get into that, but if anyone can.
Yeah, we'd love to have a follow-up conversation, but on a high level, we price Live Center on how many domains you're using it on. So I guess circulation in ARC world, your expected sort of level of traffic, and how many live blogs you create a month, just because that's a cost driver for us. But we're a small, nimble tech company. We work with customers that are 2-3 people organizations up to large public broadcasters. So it's quite, we have the licensing model that fits your need and size.
Perfect. All right, and then a question around advertising and how that's implemented with ARC and Norkon and the live blogging.
Yeah, so today I think this is also good input for a 2.0 of the Power Up is for us, Norkon, better understanding how that's done in ARC today, so that could be a smooth journey. But from Live Center's perspective, we provide you with the ability to inject ads between posts wherever you want them. So as Live Center sits on your website in an article template, the same advertising tool that you use today to render articles around the perimeter or wherever, you can make a call from Live Center to put these ads in between posts. And it's a really great driver of ad revenue, because the ad impression goes up. There's really high engagement, as Birger mentioned. So it is a really great way to both increase the real estate, but also gives you a lot of control. But love to understand more how that's done with ARC and sort of what the use cases are there.
And then a message that came directly to me is a question around usage of sort of pre-planned events that are known, and then last minute events that kind of, or not last minute, but sudden events that occur.
Yeah.
Do you see any types of differences in engagement when you have a plan in place around executing, sort of almost an emergency plan? An event occurs and you have to live blog quickly versus those pre-planned events like the Olympics or a sporting event or an election even.
Yeah, it's a good question again. So I think live content, it comes in different shapes and forms, and I think it's live blogs. The term is it's been around for a long time, and I think it's gone through a bit of a renaissance in the sense that the more work that you do ahead of time, it really impacts the output and the ROI you get on the live content. So just from an SEO perspective, there's a lot of things you can do to prep ahead of time of an event that you plan for to make it more visible and have more impact and so on, and really build user user engagement. We have a lot of sort of insights and things we've learned from that planning, and of course you can also pre-schedule post ahead of time. So if you expect something to happen, you can write posts that are saved as drafts, and then you can pick from that. And you can also schedule posts ahead of time. You can actually even integrate with other content providers. If you receive a feed from someone that you would like to go into your live blog, you can just set that up ahead of time. So there's many different ways to skin a cat, I guess. And I don't have a good answer for what has the highest sort of impact, but I do know that when you can schedule, when you know of an event ahead of time and you can prepare for it, that usually has a good impact. But again, the speed and as Big mentioned, when something comes up, an event, you really want to be able to be nimble as well.
For sure. Okay, great. And then
one thing on that topic. Sorry, just something that we picked up from one of the SEO consultants we work with. One advantage that can be from a pre-planned live blog is that you can precede it with information, and that allows Google to crawl your live blog with information, understand what the blog is about, and then give it a high ranking. So that could be a positive for pre-planning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd recommend you to check out our SEO guide. There's a lot of nuggets relating to that.
Great, thank you. All right, another question is, do you have customers who paywall their live blogs?
Yes, we have a couple of local media groups that do that for their local brands, and some national ones as well. So I think the key here is to iterate on what works for you, and I think this is also why live content, short format content, is so great, because it allows you to do quick iterations and find out what works. So we have seen that. We've seen completely open. We've seen sort of a registration wall. It's all possible to do.
Perfect. All right. And we're getting to the end of our questions. So if anyone else has any other questions, please get them in so we can have a chance to ask them. And this is around back to commenting again. So you showed, a lot of good examples of engagement with commenting in live blogs, but just to be clear, do you offer the engagement feature with comments and community management as standalone, or is that a separate integration?
So a standalone, I mean, I guess it depends on the question. So you can use Live Center primarily for engagement features as well, but it is one suite. So we don't have a specific package only for that, but it does come with the solution out of the box. If I answered that question correctly.
Okay, so it comes as part of the Norkon solution. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. And then can the platform be used to solicit and support user submission of news?
Yes, so it can do that. We don't have specific, let's say, features for requiring sources. You can require contact information. You can connect it to your user management system so that you can see who submitted what. So it is possible to do that. But I would say, more importantly, it's a good way to just solicit content and questions and comments. So a lot of customers run AMAs, and they run Q&As and these sort of things. But to solicit news, you can do that. But I would expect a number. If you have a lot of traffic, you can get quite a high number of input on news and so on. So to filter through that, I imagine there are specialized tools and companies that focus on that you would then maybe integrate with. But yes, it is it is possible.
Great. All right. And then, Chris, here's a question, and you may or may not know the answer to. Does the integration of this power up in both pages and articles have any impact on the ARC CDN consumption?
It shouldn't, in the sense that, well, on the article in which Live Center is embedded, you will get more traffic if we're successful, which is great, right? That's thumbs up. We want that. But any photos, videos, and so on that you upload to Live Center runs on our CDNs, which shouldn't drive that. I'm not completely familiar with ARC's CDN, and to what degree you as a publisher can use your own CDN together with ARC. That's possible with Live Center as well. We have a number of customers that do that. So serving large videos and photos, they use their own CDN, but it will not drive ARC's CDN costs for videos and photos if you use us out of the box. But if you want to use ARC CDN for that or a third party, then that's possible as well. Sorry, not a great definitive yes or no answer, but
right. Yeah, I know. That was a little bit of a murky area for sure. Okay, another question is, the editor tool works via PowerUp and Composer, but is it also fully integrated with other ARC apps like Photo Center or Video Center so editors can quickly pull in video and photos without friction?
Yeah, this is a question that aligns very well with a roadmap for the PowerUp. We've looked at that with, tying Live Center into the, the digital asset management in ARC, so that is more smooth. We have a couple of other, for example, Brightcove, we have integration with, but if you have something in ARC that you would like to access very smoothly from inside Live Center, that's something that we want to do in the 2.0 version of PowerUp.
Perfect. All right. And then the last question as of this moment is, we have several domains. Is it possible that we grant writing access to some users for all domains and for others for just some domains? And then a second part is it possible to write blog posts and feed other blogs with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So grant writing access to domain. So I imagine that's done inside ARC, right? Through your circulation that you say, I am user X. I have created a story, and I'll select my circulation. So you would control that there. And then from inside Live Center, we have many levels of read, write, editing access as well. But when it comes to circulation, I imagine you want to leverage what you already have and what you already have set up. So that would be controlled there. What was the second part of the question again? Let me see.
Around authoring sort of blog posts and then feeding it with other blog posts.
Yes, that's a good question. So we have a feature specifically for this where you can subscribe to one live blog either from a different account inside Live Center. So let's say you have multiple brands. Each brand wants to have their own account in Live Center, or in the same account. You can say, hey, this Olympic live coverage, I'd like to subscribe to it and get all the posts in my own live log. And then you can pick which ones you want to publish in yours. So you sort of subscribe to it, and then you can weave together, or you can just replicate it, one-to-one as well. So it sort of becomes like a news agency workflow where you say, I want to receive everything from here, and then I pick which blogs to, or which posts to use. We have a number of customers that's using that today.
Great. Okay, those are the questions that we had. I think, Yakir, from your side, if someone wanted to start using Norkon today, remind them what they need to do.
So I think the easiest way to start would be to email me or Christina and get the ball rolling. We will connect the relevant people on both sides.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, Christina, go ahead. Anything from your side?
No, I was just going to give a little closing thoughts. So if there's other announcements you wanted,
please go for it.
No, I just wanted to thank the Norkon team for coming onto our community webinar. Thank them for their, their partnership and investing in building this power up, which is very much something that Adam and I have talked about and said it's been very topical for our customers. We hear about it a lot. There's a lot of questions on how to even put something like this up. And so to have a fully all-in-one SaaS platform that does that and is now integrated into ARC is really, really exciting for us. So we just wanted to thank the Norkon team. We always love seeing you all out at events, and we love working with you all. And hopefully this becomes something that our customers are able to leverage.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Chris, Birger, Yakir, for taking time out of your wonderful European holidays as well. So we're glad to have you guys. And we hope to see everyone at Art Connect London in October. And yeah, have a great day, everyone. Thank you.